Let's take a look at question number 24. And here we have a rational equation. And the way to deal with rational equation is to first factor out the denominators, and then we are going to identify what the LCD is first, the lowest common denominators. So right here, I see that I have 6 over x squared minus 9. I can factor out this denominator here. So I'll write this down as 6 over x squared minus 9 can be factored out as x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay? And then I'm going to purposely leave some space. So the equal. And for the next one, I have 1 over x minus 3. 1 over x minus 3 like this. And then I'm going to leave a space right here again. And then continue with that. 1 over 5 minus 1 over 5 like this. Okay? So the only step that I did was to factor this to be x squared plus x minus 9. Let's take a look at question number 24. And here we have a rational equation. And the way to deal with rational equation is to find the common denominator first. Here, let's take a look at question number 24. Let's take a look at question number 24. And here we have a rational equation. And the way to deal with rational equation is we should first factor out all the denominators and then look for the lowest common multiple of the denominators. I see that I have 6 over x squared minus 9. This can be factored, so let me do that. X squared minus 9 can be factored out as x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay? And then I'm going to leave some space after the first fraction, the first rational expression right here. Okay? I'm going to leave some space, and then I'll continue the equal sign right here. And 1 over x minus 3 cannot do much with that. So I just write this down. 1 over x minus 3. And once I write down this rational expression here, I'll leave some space again. And I'll continue by writing down minus 1 over 5 right here. Minus 1 over 5 right here. Then, after we factor this one out, we are going to identify the lowest common denominators. So let me write this down. LCD. Notice that we have x minus 3 and x minus 3 in common. So we just need to put that down once. So I will write down x minus 3 here. So together, I just need to count them once. And now I have to look for the ones that I haven't put it down yet, which is the x plus 3. I need to have the x plus 3 here. And I also have to have the 5. Let me put the 5 in front, just like that. So this is my lowest common denominator, and then I'm going to multiply everything with that. And this is why I leave some space earlier. Okay, I left some space earlier. I will write down this in this gap right here. 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. The space was just enough, right? And do the same right here as well. Put down 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. And the last one as well. 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. Just like that. Okay? And if we do this step, if we do them correctly, then after we multiply everything by the LCD, we shouldn't get any fractions in the next equation. Let's see what do we get. For the first part, I have the x plus 3 cancels out with the x plus 3. Likewise, the x minus 3 cancels out with the x minus 3. Okay, so no more denominators. And here I just have 6 times 5, which is, of course, 30. And I don't need to leave any more spaces. I'll just write down I'll just write down 30. It's equal to, now how to deal with this part. X minus 3 cancel out with the x minus 3. And on the top, I have 1 times 5 times x plus 3. Okay? So I need to take, well, 1 times 5 is just 5. I just need to take the 5 times x, which I will get 5x, and then I will take 5 times positive 3, which we get plus 15. Okay, then for the last one, right here, I can only cancel out the 5. And I'm going to have minus 1 times x minus 3 and x plus 3. Okay? Let me multiply this out first. Let me just do it right here. X minus 3 times x plus 3. It's a nice product. It will be x squared minus 9. Okay, and I'll still put that in the parentheses. And I have a negative in front of it. It's like negative 1. I'll distribute a negative inside. So I have minus x squared. And then minus times the minus 9 becomes plus 9. No more fractions, just as I said earlier. And now we just have a quadratic equation because we have the x squared as the highest power right here. So as usual, let's make one side equal to 0 and then let's try to factor it. Let's see. Because we have negative x squared right here, right? Perhaps it may be easier if I move the x squared to the other side. That way I will just have a positive x squared. It may seem a lot of work, but it will be worth it in a minute. Let me add x squared on both sides, like that. So this 2 cancels, okay? And then I can also minus 5x on both sides, like that. And now the 5x cancels out as well. And this is plus 15, so I will have to minus 15 here. So they cancel. I have minus 15 here. I have a plus 9 here. I just need to minus 9 here. Cancel this out. Cancel that out. Right there. Right. Cancel. So all this becomes 0. This will be 0. But then here we get x squared. Let me write this down. Minus 5x. And here I have 30 minus 15, which is 15. And then minus 9, which will be 6, right? And it will be a positive 6 plus 6. Bring down equal sign, just like that. The next step is to factor this out. So let's get the parentheses ready. First of all, to get x squared, I will need to get x and x. And to get positive 6, those two numbers should also add up to be negative 5. I will need to have minus 2 and minus 3, like that. And once we have these two factors, we're just going to set the first factor, x minus 2, equals to 0. And with this, once I add 2 on both sides, I will get my first possible answer, x is equal to 2. And this is just a possible answer to the original rational equations, okay? And the second part, the x minus 3 equals to 0. Adding 3 on both sides, we see that x could also be positive 3. And again, these two are just possible answers to the original equation. We have to do the check. Whenever we have fractions, we have to make sure that the denominator is not equal to 0. And the problem with one of this number is that x is equal to 3. It's a bad answer. I'll show you. Check if x was equal to positive 3. If x was equal to positive 3, I will plug in the positive 3 into the original equation. I will get 6 over 3 squared minus 9 equals to 1 over 3 minus 3 minus 1 over 5. The problem here is that you have two places. You'll see that we have 3 squared minus 9, which is the same as 9 minus 9, and that's 0. Or you can also look at this part. 3 minus 3, it's again another 0 in the denominator. So once you have a 0 in the denominator, the whole equation is ruined. So you have to make sure that that doesn't happen. So this is a bad place. You need to make sure, I'll just write this down, need to make sure we don't have a situation like when you have some number dividing by 0, some number over 0. This is bad. So this is something you have to make sure. And because when you have x is equal to 3, you get 0 here, or you can also look at the 0 right here. We are not going to include x is equal to 3 for the answer. X is equal to 2 wouldn't have this situation if you plug in 2 into the original equation. And that's the only answer. The only answer is x is equal to positive 2.